When Pete and I next met, we discussed our options. The idea was I could move into the share house and then find some work, possibly as a waitress or a kitchen hand. This would suit, as we would be working similar hours to each other. My moving into the share house was discussed with the other housemates and agreed on. I managed to find evening work at a Chinese restaurant. Being brunette, tall, and not Chinese did not worry them at all. Now I had to tell my mother I was moving out. We had similar temperaments with hard-headed will and self-belief. I had good reason to feel scared. I moved out the items I needed, including clothes, my computer, and my musical instruments. This included a couple of trumpets, my precious professional mic and my amplifier. This was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I considered using the phone to make the announcement. I knew I had to do it face to face, so I could have closure. The scene was set. I made dinner and waited for her to return from work. We all sat down to eat. Halfway through, I broke the news. The result was what I expected. She nearly choked, and then she screamed, "After all I have done for you, get out." Not saying a word, I grabbed my bag and walked out. Aidan later told me that they sat around the table in a stunned silence. My father said, "We don't know where she's gone. Will she be safe? Has she got any money?" Tears running down his face, he left the room. Aidan stared at his mother and then left the room without a word. My mother got up, grabbed an open bottle of white wine, poured a glass full and took a gulp. She then sat and stared out the window, not seeing anything, just feeling fears and anxiety crashing about in her mind. I arrived at the share house in a taxi. Peter met me at the door. My belongings were neatly arranged in the bedroom and I threw down my carry bag beside them. I then got ready for my first night of work. I had $500 in savings, which would not last long with rent and paying for food. The first night at the restaurant went okay. The training was brief, but I'd been to many restaurant meals with my family. I knew what to do from both good and bad examples. The chef was constantly yelling and made the work stressful. I finished at midnight and was paid in cash. $60 was not a lot for 5 hours work. $560 was at least the beginning with our new independence. When I got back to the share house, Pete was rampaging through the house, swearing about his boss, saying he was mean and miserable and wouldn't pay him what he was worth. Close to my face, he said, "I quit," and then backed off and said, "I will find something much better." I wondered about this, as there were very few upper-class restaurants on this side of the city. Having almost $560 felt good. It gave me a feeling of security. I worked for a month and paid the bills. This just covered the expenses and some food. Peter said he was looking for work, but appeared to be doing nothing, apart from playing a borrowed saxophone. When I arrived home, I would be given the performance of their latest and greatest riff. It was all wearing thin. I was starting to wonder about my choices. After the second month of him not finding work, I started to drop unsubtle hints about finding another share house by myself. After some grumbling, within the week he was back flipping burgers. I felt I needed to make up to Sally for not sharing the income burden. I managed to get a large bunch of beautiful fresh white roses on the way home. I pushed through the broken front door and burst into our room where Sally was practicing scales on a trumpet. She gave a happy shriek. "They are gorgeous. Where did you get the money?" "I'll grab that empty pickle jar for a vase." She excitedly ran to the kitchen. I looked down at the roses and saw the corner of a white card poking out from among the leaves. Grabbing it quickly, it said, "Forever loved, forever missed, in memory of Jane." Cursing myself for being careless, I stuffed it in my pocket just as Sally entered the room.